Hello everyone, Phalix here, bringing you the next dungeon in our TERA guide, Sigil Adstringo. Heading on in here, you will notice that as soon as you move up along the bridge there, you will immediately get a 15 minutes until boss aggro, or boss something or whatever, I didn't read it. You have 15 minutes to get to the first boss, or else he goes into like a super rage and you can't beat him and you have to reset the instance or something like that. As you can see, I'm running past everything, because in this area, you don't need to fight anything, pretty much. You can basically bypass everything, except for a few mobs. Every once in a while you may have to fight. Such as these. These mobs are nothing special, so I'm going to skip them. Upon bypassing most, if not all of the mobs, you'll reach the first boss. Servant of Skulregnath. He's a fairly easy tank and spank fight, with a few mechanics similar to any other rock monsters you may have fought. He does his double ground pound and his, what I like to call his drill pound. These are very high damage, so the tank should definitely block them. He does his jumps, as well as his 3 blasts and singular blast. He also has his stone storm. I will now cut to that. As you can see, this storm is easily blockable and summons a few adds. Your team should pick them up while you hold the tank, while you tank the boss. These are pretty much all his mechanics, and nothing changes. Make sure to just not stand in the circle and get away from his stone storm. I'm now skipping to the end. One thing left to remember, that you do have a timer on this boss. It's something ridiculously long, like 10 minutes, and if you do happen to take that long to kill this boss, he will eventually go into a frenzy with unblockable attacks and eventually kill you. Pick up your loot, there's nothing to grab, or do specifically here. Move on to the next boss. Eventually you will come across this gate, and you must kill the gatekeepers to gain entrance. I've tried several times to find sneaky ways around, but there's definitely a invisible wall. Upon continuation, you will reach the second boss, Harkyriss. I just want to make note here, and I'm going to go completely nerd on you, that this is actually a wyvern. Most people don't know what the difference is. Based on mythology, a wyvern is a creature with 2 legs and 2 wings, usually protruded as arms. Now, this is confusing because there are some dragons known as the Razor Dragon, or Razorback Dragon to be more specific, and the Wingback Dragon. Easily tellable are on its wings, you can see that there are talons. This means it's a wyvern. If there are hands or claws, then it is a Razorback or Wingback Dragon. Now that I've gone completely nerd on you, let's go in and fight this boss. This is the first time I believe you will be fighting a mob that deals heavy fire damage such as this. He will go up into the sky and breathe fire, or he will arc his body back and do a cone fire in front. He drops excessively large firebombs in a straight line, as you see here. Do not stand in the circles as they continue to burn. He'll put a dot on you. His melee attacks are quite painful for people around the level for this dungeon. So tanks, make sure to easily block them, because the tell is quite easy. His run animation is easy to tell as well. You should be able to get out of its way. Tanks can block it, although you will get hit from behind every once in a while, because his hitbox is a bit cone-shaped and it will push you out of the way. As you've just seen, he also has several other flying moves. One of 3 moves he will use every so often. I believe it's 10 or 15%. He will fly up in the air and slam the ground, as you've just seen. Or he will fly around and do a flyby attack against the tank or whoever has the most aggro. The third and final one generally happens near the end of his life. He will do a dive bomb, literally just slamming his face into the ground into whoever he's targeting at. You also get his ads here, which are easily killable, but constantly throw fireballs through. I do believe that they leave after a certain amount of time, and it's not worth killing. Yes, as you see here, they all do one volleyed, maybe two, of their fireballs, and then eventually dissipate. That's all of his mechanics. I'm now going to move to the end. I'd like to make mention that when flying up, he is easily leashable to pull down, and you can also stun him. This makes it a lot easier for the DPS to continue damaging the boss, and hopefully get it down a lot faster than his enrage timer. Every boss in this dungeon has an extremely long rage timer though, so I wouldn't really worry. One more thing to note that he hasn't yet done is after his charge move, he will often do a tail sweep. Generally once, but sometimes 2 times. And this is a devastating attack that can hit for about 15,000, even on tanks. So make sure to either block it or dodge it, or just completely stay out of the way. I would just like to make note that this boss has one annoying feature to him. Often in his charge move, he will run directly behind me, past this gate, or all the way back there to the wall. When doing this, if you go up and hit him at any point, he will even back up further and then eventually leash himself and, you know, reset. So be aware of that. Once he's defeated, make sure to move on quickly. You don't want to be taking too much time in this boss. After beating Harkyriss, or the dragon, sorry, the wyvern before, you're going to need to head on down, and often you will fight a bunch of mobs along this way because they have extremely long anger ranges. But this boss is a bit of a pain in the ass. You're going to need to kill Nuroppy first, the one in the back, and then kill Great Chief Tonka. Don't forget to just mow down these ads as fast as possible. Beware of that yellowish acid spit. It puts a debuff on you, and it's like a poison. It hurts pretty bad. Eventually, there's this bleed buildup, as you can see here, from the Great Chief. At some point, your tank will need to just sit and wait for it to go away. Upon the close or exact timing of Nuroppy's death, these 2 ads will appear. They're easy to kill, just get them out of the way. Your team should focus on them because they don't come up very often. Fortunately, I'm so swarmed by these little guys that I can't hit Nuroppy. The poison stacking can be quite deadly because it does a percentage of health. So even me at level 60, if I have stacks on, it will eventually kill me. So I'm attempting to avoid the boss as best as possible. I will now move on to the next phase. As you can see, the next phase is this boss will then bring up this thing in the middle. You need to rush and kill it as fast as possible, because it will heal the boss. When Nuroppy's dead, the boss becomes a whole lot of an easier fight. That poison stack is what really kills people. Try to sit in the middle so you can get to this centerpiece as soon as possible. I'm now going to skip to the boss's death. When the boss dies, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to your next fight. Make sure to kill the ads. Oh, no, they do disappear. I wasn't quite sure. Just head up the bank here and over to the teleportal, which you'll head to your final fight. Alright, here's your final fight. Skulregnath. Skulregnath, that's the name. There we go. Now, I'm going to nerd it up again for a second here. As you can see, 2 legs, 2 limbs, 2 arms, frontal legs, if you want to call them. He is a 4-legged dragon, as all dragons should be, in the mythological sense, unless, of course, it is a Chinese dragon, then it has no limbs. But, this would be considered a razorback or a wingback dragon. So let's dive right into the sucker and beat the crap out of him. I also believe this is the first time you will fight this model. He has some significant things, such as a cone fire breath in the front that you should be aware of. Make sure that all melee and ranged are behind him, because he has a exceedingly long range. He will stab the ground with those blades he shoots up into the air. Note, 2 things will happen. 1, they will be red, so they will come down and do heavy, significant amounts of damage, or they will come down as blue, as you see here, leaving a static field on the ground. Move the boss, if possible, out of this. Be wary of that spinning tail swipe. It hurts, and generally all melee should dodge roll and get out of it. That Fire Blast Tell is really easy, and you shouldn't have any problems blocking it. It doesn't do that much damage. It just allows the boss to kind of get out from being surrounded. Now you must get over here and kill this thing. When doing that, the ads on the outside will leave. If you don't do it, the ads will get closer and start blasting bigger circles in the middle, and eventually wipe your team. It's not a very heavy-lifed crystal, so just make sure to just drop it really fast. Generally, he has an enraged move, which he will then shoot 3 fireballs in kind of in a cone in front of him in 3 different areas, similar to the rock monster in the front or in the first boss. Other than that, that is all his moves, and I'm now going to skip to the end. I forgot to make note that he also says an emote, "Darkness warps you." Make sure to pay attention to that, and you will know that his electrical field shock is coming. He also says an emote, something, and it pops up on the screen, something about the ads coming and the dark lip is in the middle. So just pay attention to those things as usual, and you shouldn't have any problem with this boss. One thing I did forget is the Evignar. At 30 to 40%, he will eventually start spawning these guys. This is kind of a bit of a DPS race now, because they will create these huge circles that do a fair amount of damage to your team. So remember to just stay away from them. When the boss is dead, I hope you guys had an easy fight. You should get some fat loot, and I'm Phalix. I hope to see you guys in the next TERA guide.